Good evening, pilots and mercs. Today we're going to be having a look at BATTLETECH the Ostroc. Now this particular battle mech kind of looks like an Orion. The video is by Big Red 40 Tech. I should have said that before, but it looks somewhat like an Orion. It's a little weird to me. I don't think I've ever seen this particular battle mech before, so it'll be interesting to learn a little bit more about it and see its place on the tabletop games, because I have never seen this mech before. I'm assuming it's one of the mechs that just never made it into the Mech Warrior games. So again, grab your drinks, grab your snacks, and let's roll the film. BATTLETECH the Ostroc. Let's see it.
In this video, we are going to go over one of the rare heavy mechs in the history of BATTLETECH, and to some extent, even the tabletop game and other media itself. The mech in question is the Ostroc. A heavy mech weighing in at 60 tons, this battle mech is a relatively rare sight to be seen.
Yeah, again, I've never heard of this particular battle mech. It looks very characteristic, like the Orion to some extent. Or I guess with that cockpit, it could look like the Atlas. I don't really know. Seems to be energy weapon based, or at least this particular variant. So it could be a good time. I'm just a little bit confused because I've never seen it.
In the Inner Sphere. Designed by Osman Industries, a Seoul-based manufacturing and arms company, this machine, along with its cousins, the Oscout and the Ostal, were produced from 2500 to 2700 approximately, and though these designs were popular among their users, they were never produced in large enough numbers, and eventually the factories used to construct these vehicles were destroyed. Of the Ostmechs, the Ostroc is the most well-known design. What examples remain were most prolific among the DCMS during the Succession Wars and leading into the Clan Invasion. The mech warriors who piloted the original design, the OSR-2C, during the Star League era and Succession Wars, considered it to be a quality mech to be assigned to, despite its rarity. Even in the years after the recovery of the Helm memory core, the Ostroc was largely looked over and not embraced by manufacturers for the most part, with the exception of the Capellan Confederation after the Clan Invasion, who would begin.
Of course, it would be the Capellans who would take notice of this thing. They usually pick the rarest mechs to go after. But with it looking like an energy boat here, actually, you know what? Large laser, 2 medium lasers, and an SRM-4. But that really wouldn't make sense for... I mean, I guess it's a decent loadout, but that's like... For 60 tons, that's... I don't know, it seems a little low.
And to produce the model once again in 3067, in many ways saving this relic series from extinction in the Inner Sphere. Originally built and intended for urban defense, the Ostroc was designed to be relatively slim and to have a minimum silhouette, to adhere to this by helping it better conceal itself and negotiate its way through trees or buildings. With the changes in warfare through the Inner Sphere, however, this machine, like almost all battle mechs, could be routinely deployed into suboptimal conditions. In the case of the Ostroc, its firepower and capabilities were diverse enough that during the Succession Wars, it could broaden its horizons enough as a war machine to allow it to compete in more environments than just heavy terrain and built-up areas. The OSR-2C comes deployed with a 300 VLAR standard engine, giving it an extremely favorable movement rate of 86 km per hour at maximum speed, which translates into 8 movement points in the tabletop game. In terms of firepower, this model comes equipped with twin Fyrstrom large lasers, as well as twin Fyrstrom medium lasers, and finally, a Totschangden, forgive my pronunciation, short-range missile rack. For a 60-ton...
Okay. I have several questions. Give me just a second. He said urban defense with a heavy mech. One does not simply navigate the streets of a city block in a heavy mech. Which I'm starting to understand why this thing was rare, because it's like, you have a heavy mech, which, again, these are command mechs. So you're assigning a command mech to a city defender. So for the price of that, I can get maybe 3 or 4 Urbies at this point. I'll be generous. 2 Urbies and parts for repairs, right? Which again, this is just for urban fighting. Or, you know, we could also get some locusts while we're at it, because again, this is a heavyweight battle mech. So again, I could see this operating on the front lines just fine, but again, the more I hear about this mech, the more I'm questioning its design. Because again, it has enough lasers to compete with heavyweight battle mechs. It's just, I don't understand why it exists for urban defense. You're not going to get enough buy-in, which is why you probably didn't see this thing all that much. Which is a shame, because it looks cool. Like, you could definitely make it work. And again, I don't even think it necessarily needs... I don't even think it needs serious refit. Maybe even a few more heat sinks. It might just be able to compete with, again, medium weight and some of the heavyweight battle
mech. This amount of firepower is not insubstantial. To support this dense amount of weaponry, the OSR comes with a totality of 15 heat sinks.
That is a very okay. No, I see where you're trying to get the urban defense from. This is the urban mech's bigger brother. No, I see it. I see it. Yeah, this is older brother syndrome.
Allowing it to move and fire a multitude of systems, though certainly not all of these systems, without overheating.
Daggone it. There's my dreams of alpha striking with it.
Finally, in terms of protection, the OSR-2C comes with a moderate amount of armor, which is valued at 9 tons. It's important to note that there were, for an extended period of time, limited alterations to the OSR, or refits, which were drastically underproduced for the OSR, partially due to its rarity and the lack of ability to actually produce new mechs. For instance, it had no official 3049-3050 field refit kit, though some would find a solution to this, which we will see shortly. The OSR-2L first appeared in 2884 during the Succession Wars. it would replace the SRM-4 launcher with an LRM-5 launcher to improve its long-range capabilities. This is functionally the only change on the unit. The OSR-2D was the cutting-edge variant of the model utilized by the Star League, featuring twin ER large lasers as well as double heat sinks to offset the increased heat that the unit would generate.
Which again, those are pretty decent upgrades. My only question though is an LRM-5 on a heavy mech. Where's the rest of the weight going? Because Ian, I don't know if it's necessarily the weapons or the heat sinks, the armor, the engine. It really just seems like a combination of everything. By no means do I think an LRM-5 is bad. Again, I'm just saying for a heavyweight battle mech, seems a little light. But again, you do have in this variation two ER large lasers. I want to say it was two ER medium lasers as well. Give it one.
Featuring twin ER large lasers as well as double heat sinks to offset the increased.
Okay, so it was just the large lasers. You have enough firepower to reach out and tell somebody to politely shut down their engines. Fair enough. I think that's acceptable.
Heat that the unit would generate. During the clan invasion, any commanders who could acquire the parts for this refit would attempt to integrate them into the aging chassis which still remained in their forces. But there was no promise of this appearing necessarily. The OSR-4K would be the true return of the Ostroc to the Draconis Combine, being introduced first as an upgrade kit in 3077 before going into full production after the Blakist conflict. It possessed a heavy-duty gyro and a twin snub-nose PPC, as well as two ER medium lasers. It downgrades the engine from a 300 standard to a 240 to give it more weight to add in these new systems, which also includes jump jets for enhanced maneuverability. The final design we're going to cover today is the OSR-4L, the first true redesign and the first new model produced of the OSR since the early days of the Succession Wars. Designed by the Capellan Confederation, it uses endo steel and carries inner sphere ER large lasers and ER medium lasers. Jump jets were further added to the system, as well as a Guardian ECM. In addition, the unit also utilizes stealth armor. This variant was brought together overall to change its role to an infiltrator as much as a direct combatant, making it exceptionally lethal. The primary.
Okay, so it looks like this variant is the Capellan variant. So it looks like I was confusing two of the variants. That makes sense. That makes sense, and we can move on from that. Again, I think adding stealth armor to this thing is certainly an interesting choice. Like, again, I think you can make that work. It's just, I don't know why you would use, I don't know why you would necessarily use large and medium lasers for a infiltrator or sniper build. Seems a tad odd to me, but I suppose you can make it work. I mean, you have the range for it. It's just, that's a really, really expensive, it's an expensive refit for something I don't know if it's going to bore through your target very well. Again, by no means do I think this is a terrible mech. I would actually pilot this. This seems competently built. I just think urban warfare was a very odd choice for this thing. Might explain why we just never see it, but again, it's a solid mech altogether.
The primary strength of the OSR and all of the configurations available seems to be its ability to hit hard in close and to reach out and hit targets at medium range. Though some later models would allow this to change more significantly, such as the OSR-4L, overall its role as a city and jungle combatant remained intact, though it can hold its own in other spaces. The primary weakness of the OSR series is its severe lack of availability, as well as a relatively unimpressive amount of armor in the standard OSR 2C design. The Ostroc is one of the more interesting designs, and despite being neglected by the Inner Sphere for much of its own history, has always been a useful chassis and platform in a multitude of roles. There is little wonder why mech warriors from all eras look upon it favorably. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. With that, I will catch you in the comment section below.
I absolutely would field this. This seems like a mech that just, again, it was largely just kind of ignored, but I don't see anything necessarily wrong with it. Like, some of the refits are definitely going to be a little bit more questionable. Again, the Compellants, they love their snipers, they love their stealth units. I honestly love the Snubnose PPC build. That thing looked like fun. It looked like fun, and I'm definitely going to have to go get my hands on some soon. I think this would be a fun build. Let me know what you think about the Ostroc below. And while you're down there, please support the original creator. The original video will be in the description or in the card up in the right-hand corner. And as always, this has been Annika, signing out.